Welcome to Less Trauma Bond Podcast, episode 25. So today, you guys, I do have a guest. I have my friend Wendy here. And today we're actually going to be talking all about her experience in the military and how she's healed through some of the trauma she's experienced in the military and get to know a lot about her journey. So I'm super excited to have her. So I'm going to have her introduce herself and tell a little bit about yourself, a little bit about what you did in the military. So.
Okay. Well, my name is Wendy. I was in the Navy for 5 years. I was stationed in Japan, about an hour away from Tokyo. I was a cook in the Navy. Now I go to school. I'm studying to be a counselor. So I should be graduating in winter of 2027. And then hopefully going back to get another degree. I kind of want to collect them like infinity stones to get as many degrees as I can. So this is my second degree that I'm getting right now.
What was your first degree in?
Bachelor's in criminal justice.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it actually plays really well with counseling because you need to know the laws when you're helping clients out, just because they tell you certain things and you need to know how you're going to help them. Yeah, so it's been really great.
That's cool. Okay, that's really good because Wendy doesn't know that much about my podcast, and also I don't know that much about Wendy, so I'm gonna be learning a lot as we're doing the podcast episode. But with the podcast, we did briefly talk about it's all about trauma, how do you heal through trauma and stuff. So going to school to be a counselor, that's super cool. I don't know. You can tell me how it how your experience worked. I know here it's mostly Hispanic, so maybe you didn't face this, but did you experience any discrimination for being a minority in the military?
Yeah.
And how was those experiences for you?
Okay. So when I got to my ship, that was my first time ever being around that many white people. I was really scared because I had never in my life been around so many white people.
And I'm from Minnesota, so I'm around all the white people. But here in San Antonio, it's mostly Hispanic people.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that.
Yeah. So I was so scared. But yeah, I did experience some hatred. So there's Hispanic people in the military. My ship consisted of a lot of Filipinos, Black people, and white people. Mexican, very few. I want to say less than 10 of us were Mexican. And then we had the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, everybody else. And then I think there was only from what I knew at that time, 2 other Mexican females. And I became friends with them because, we're only Mexican females. Yeah. There was a lot of white people that told me that they used to be very racist, hated Hispanic people, Black people. But it wasn't until the military and we would experience certain situations that they ended that hatred. There was a time, so I was a cook, but I was also part of the flight deck team. So I was a firefighter for them. So whenever they would launch the helicopters, I was a firefighter just in case something happened, So there were times where we had to be outside in the cold, in the rain, and we weren't able to go downstairs to the warm areas, to our spaces, because we had to wait till the helicopter came back, and they wouldn't even let us go on break for to get food or sometimes not even in the bathroom. Some of them were jerks. So I remember one time the ship was rocking really bad. We had rough waters. We were getting drenched. We were all wet and cold and hungry. And I remember us being in this little locker room and just all huddled up with each other, trying to stay warm. Yeah. And he said that at that moment, it was when he knew that he couldn't be like that anymore.
Because he got to touch.
Yeah.
He has to touch the people.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I don't know, even kind of how you explain it of not being able to eat at certain points and, not able to get the warmth and stuff. Did it sometimes feel like prison a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've been watching this documentary about the prisoners in there and how they barely be eating or they gotta obviously they're being dictated. I mean, obviously they're criminals, so that's another story, but it's still it's like confinement or like very restrictive or stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
because even when we're on deployment, you have certain hours where you can't eat, where they're serving food, so you better go and get your food during those meal hours. If not, then we had a store where you could buy stuff, but you better have money on your card to buy stuff.
Like
So,
commissary.
yeah.
That is crazy.
I think they do call it commissary.
That is crazy. Like, that is insane. So also like going into discrimination, women, because I know like it's very hard for a lot of women in the military. Did you feel like you were ever discriminated for being a woman, or like, are most of the leaders there men?
Most of them are men. So the military, or maybe just the Navy, has this thing where it has to be more men than women on ship, because they've done studies apparently where they had an even amount of both or more women, and it was more conflict when it was even amounts of both genders or more women. So on my ship, we had the most 200 women, and our ship would hold about 1,500 to 2,000 people. So out of all that, like 200 were women. Yeah, so it wasn't that many females.
Yeah.
A lot of musty men.
Yeah. Ugh,
But yeah, the first time I felt hatred from a woman, mind you, we got there at the same time. It's so funny because she recently tried to get contacted with me. But I remember we were all getting ready to like leave the ship, and I was in a tank top and some shorts. And I was looking for someone, because someone said that they were gonna like braid my hair. And I was walking around our berthing, like where we all sleep downstairs, where the females are. And I left, but the door was still slightly open, and I heard her tell a girl, "She's dressed like a hoe, look at her." I was like, I'm not even leaving in this. Like, I'm just
wearing a tank top and shorts.
And shorts, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But she considered herself this super holy Christian woman, but she would put down a lot of people, But yeah, she was the first one. For the most part, everyone was pretty cool. I mean, you did have those people that you bump heads with over dumb stuff, but not major hate.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because I always feel like, how are the dynamics there with like the men leading things? Like, for me, I only see the TV side of like the military side. All I see is like yelling and like, very extreme like physical labor. Is that like?
Yes.
Okay. Is that true?
Yes. A lot of physical labor. We would have this thing called ship stores. So we lined up from the outside of the ship all the way inside to where the galley is, which is where the food gets made, down to the bottom of the ship. So it's just a line of like over 100 sailors, and we're like passing stuff down. So that was the labor stuff. You had to sweep in the rain, which was stupid. It's a thing.
Right,
it's a thing.
Like what the hell is sleeping in?
When I was in Chicago, before I went to my school, they made us cut grass with our hands, pick up weeds.
That's crazy.
Yes, and like little trash outside. So we were like the janitors, everything. Like we just did everything.
That's interesting. And then before we get into like more experiences, do you feel like, based off the labor that they make you do in the military, like, do you feel like it's worth it? Because I know people go into it because they're like, what I've noticed is that the military tends to like really take advantage of people that come from environments that are maybe not stable, or like poor environments, or just like different places in their life where they're seeking like stability. Do you feel like all the work and the effort that you put in is worth like the salary they give you, the benefits? I know a lot of people do it for the benefits. From your personal experience, do you feel like everything you did, it was worth it, or?
I definitely think we need to get paid more. The most I would get paid, mind you, this is because I was only living in Japan, and different areas get you different pay. Me being at a certain rank and level, for my rank and level that I was at that time, the highest I got paid was about $1,400 for every 2 weeks. And yeah, I guess it sounds like a lot because I don't pay rent. The military covers everything, but I still had to save for my future.
Yeah.
After I get out, phone bill, eating, different stuff like that.
Yeah, and then I mean all the effort you put in, like to help the government,
Yeah.
like so definitely need more. So okay, that's always good to know too, because people also want to know, like okay, like
Yeah.
like what do you get? Because there's a lot of like blood and sweat, tears,
Yeah.
and then. Even when you get paid, doesn't it start like lower?
Oh yeah, it starts way lower.
Yeah,
I think I started at like 900.
Yeah, so people were like,
yeah, it was bad.
Starving. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, because I know a lot of people that's in the military and they're cheap as hell because
Yes.
they had to like penny pinch and
Yeah.
obviously live on base and like all those type of things. So from your experience, what are some traumatic experiences you faced in the military? Like, if you can just tell us whatever you're comfortable with, speaking on that kind of made your experience not a good experience in the military.
So I think it was about 3 months or maybe 2 months of me being in the military, maybe less, on my first ship where I was sexually assaulted by another sailor. I thought this man was my friend. And I remember us just standing and talking, and out of nowhere, he grabs my vagina, and I was just in shock because I was like, why would you even touch me? And he told me, you can try to tell somebody, but I'll make sure that no one will ever believe you. Everyone already thinks you're a whore. And that crushed me because, in the military, you being friendly can make people will think you're a hoe just because you are friendly and you smile at people and you're nice.
Wow.
So that really messed up my mentality for the longest time. After that experience, there was a lot of microsexual assaults that I consider them microsexual assaults, but people thinking it's okay to grab your shoulders, grab the lower part of your back, just touch you, make sexual comments about you, grab your butt, just a lot of stuff that I unfortunately
had to experience.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. And was this person white?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And that, I think that dynamic also plays a part because I do feel like there's a power struggle, dealing with a white man that sexually assaults you, because he practically said that I'll make sure nobody believes you. And when a white man he already has that privilege, they're gonna believe the white man over you.
Exactly.
And even just him being a man alone. So first, what made you feel like you guys were friends? If you can kind of tell us about how your guys' interactions were before this happened.
So at first, really cool. We would talk at work, and he was the first person that took me off base, so I could experience the food. And he taught. There's this place called Yakitori, and it's like chicken on a stick. And he's like, oh, let's go here so you can experience it. It's really good. We go. It was great. It was very chill. No bad vibes. And then it happened, and after that, I stopped hanging out with him.
And then after that happened, were you guys still having to be on the same ship
Yes.
and keep seeing each other?
Yeah, I had to see him for maybe 2 more years.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it really sucked. And then when we were on deployment in Korea, someone that I thought was my friend, I guess, took advantage of the fact that I was drunk and sexually assaulted me when I was sleeping. So it was me, my female friend, and him, and me and her slept on the same bed. Women, we're women, we take care of each other. Me and her were really good friends. And then I wake up and he's naked in a bed next to me, and he starts telling people that we had sex, and then the rumors start going around. I felt so disgusted with myself, From the first assault to this one, to the micro assaults, I started blaming myself for the longest time, and I became so angry. before the military, I was a very happy, like bubbly person. And then after all that happened, I became so angry and so bitter. To top it off, after the first assault, I didn't know I was pregnant. I remember when I was a cook, so I would always take off our blouse and I had our brown undershirt on. And I remember little love handles started like coming out, and one of my top people that were in charge of me, he grabs my side and he tells me, "You're gaining weight." And I was like, one, why are you like touching me? And like, you can tell me that I'm gaining weight without touching me. So maybe a few days after that, it was like around Thanksgiving time, I think a week before. And I remember sitting in this room. It's kind of like a USO where we go and relax. And I felt something just disconnect from my body. And I go to the bathroom and I'm like, okay, I started my period. And then I see something drop in the toilet and it's a baby.
Oh my God.
The baby was maybe like this big. So from what I read, the baby was like 8 weeks. And I was like, what the hell do I do? And I didn't know I was pregnant. I was on birth control at that time. And I just freaked out. And then the bathrooms there are automatic. So when I got up, the baby got flushed out.
Oh my
Yeah, so like it really messed me up for a long time.
Yeah.
I started drinking a lot after that. And then we went underway. I couldn't tell anybody because from the day that I got to my ship, they told us that we better not try to lie or do anything to get us off the ship, to get us sent back stateside or anything, because I guess a lot of people make up things so they can leave. So mind you, I was afraid to talk about the sexual assault because I was like, well, he just told me all that. My chain of command told me that if I say anything, that would get me sent stateside, that I would get in trouble, I wouldn't get ranked up, just like a bunch of things. And then the baby incident, like it was just a bunch of tragic stuff that happened.
In one time span.
Yeah.
And so with the baby, so that was from the sexual assault?
No, he was a guy that I was seeing in San Antonio.
Okay.
But I
So
never
was
told
some
him.
time that you were, the 8 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
So it was right before I got to Japan. I got to Japan in September of like 2018. So maybe a few weeks before that, I was stateside and I was with that person. And I never told him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I never told him. I was just kind of, I didn't see the point of telling him, you know?
Especially if you didn't see like a future with
Yeah,
that person.
I didn't.
And so, it's very tragic, in those situations. And sometimes, I don't know, in my head, sometimes I feel like in the moment, those times are very hard, especially like, I don't know if you want children or not, but like, I know those times are hard, but I also always believe that in those times when that happens, it's like almost to kind of like disconnect you from that person in a sense, or you're not supposed to be with that person or have that life with that person, But at the time, it's obviously very hard, and especially the way that happened, because I didn't even like know that could happen that way. I've heard of people like miscarrying and like bleeding, or like they fully are pregnant the whole time and then they have a baby in the situation. So through all of that, first, even with the sexual assault, when were you able to speak up about the situations that were happening with you?
Ooh, 2023, maybe? Okay, so let me backtrack a little. After the baby, same day, maybe a few hours later, I contemplated suicide. There was a bridge that connected like the gym area to downstairs. It's like a walkway. And I thought about several ways to end it because, I had all that going on, and that was the first time I thought about suicide. Obviously, I didn't do it, but I started a spiral of drinking a lot. And that's when I started getting a lot of weight because I was drinking so much. But I also wanted to gain weight so I can make myself undesirable, you know? Because I didn't want to be a victim anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And sorry, I don't want you to lose your thought, because I talk about this openly on my channel of how I was sexually assaulted as a child, and I was sexually assaulted at the age of, to find out it was 5 or 6, which is crazy that I like could remember it, because I started having like flashback dreams about it. So I thought it was like a dream because it was my cousin. And then when I got older, I'm like, I know this wasn't a dream. Like, this happened to me. And I went and looked him up, and he was in jail for like raping and kidnapping another woman, like an older woman.
Oh my God.
And he had several of these cases. So I was like, no, this happened to me, at 5 and 6. And I only didn't believe it happened to me because I tried to tell a friend, and then she was like, oh, like, you're making this up. And so for me, I started thinking like, oh, like, is it dreams? Like, was I making this up? Because it was I was such a young girl. But where I was trying to go with this point was, where was my brain trying to go with this point? Oh, the weight. So I talk about this a lot on my channel because I used to be like morbidly obese. And a lot of people that I work with, clients and stuff like that, that have been like morbidly obese, a lot of them have been sexually assaulted, which I actually talk about a lot because people don't understand the trauma that can be behind weight, and that subconsciously you can literally like be eating to like mask yourself so that you do feel protected. You feel like people are not looking at you or wanting to touch you and things like that. So I'm glad you like got into that topic, because a lot of people actually face that or find coping mechanisms. Like, obviously you cope with the alcohol and with the food, and also other people have those experiences after they've been sexually assaulted too. Also with the suicide, like, what was the moment that what made you like, no, I should not do this, when you...
I think it was my sisters, I don't want them to, because when someone dies in the military, they send you someone in the military to go to your home, your parents' home, and like give them the news. And I just like thought about that, and I was like, I can't have that happen, But there was a lot of times where the thought of suicide came to mind. But back then I didn't know about like the 1-800 line about suicide for veterans and or just military in general. And plus, like, being overseas, you get charged overseas rates to call anyone. So it was hard. It's like, you're gonna get charged a lot of money if you try to call another number, and you just couldn't.
Yeah.
The phone plans out there were different. Like, for a while I had a Japanese line and you couldn't make an American call at all. It was just, there was no way to do anything,
Yeah. Wow. And during that time, were you separated? Like, could you even communicate with your family during that time?
Yeah, so I was able to like call them on FaceTime audio, anything on Wi-Fi, so Facebook audio.
Okay.
I've never told my family. I don't think I ever will. It's just like too much for me to tell them about that experience. I just want them to think that I had a grand time in Japan.
So they don't know any of any of the story.
No, they know that that I have depression. Well, that I have PTSD. So that I have depression and PTSD, and that I'm on medication for it. But other than that, they don't know why.
Oh wow. And why do you feel that you can't tell them?
I think it's mostly my culture because I'm a Mexican. Mental health is very taboo to speak about, and I don't think they'll really understand. Yeah, I just don't think they'll understand.
I get that, because mental health also in the Black community is very taboo, and like people will go around saying like, oh, a person's crazy and things like that. And I talk about this on my channel too. I grew up with a mom that had mental illness, and I didn't know what it was because she would have episodes and I had no clue what was going on. Like, I never heard about it. No one talked about it. And everyone that had was like, oh, it's something crazy, and not understanding what it really is. and how to, help my mom. So I had to learn like how to help her and things like that. But do you feel like, and this is something like you can unpack later because I'm very like a therapeutic person. People tell me this all the time, but like, do you feel like if you were to talk about your experiences, then your family would understand more on why you are, having practically these side effects from what you experienced?
No, I don't think. No, because it took my mom a very long time to accept the fact that I have depression and I need medication to be calm, to be at this state of mind that I'm currently in. I just don't think they can. None of my family knows about it. Like absolutely none of them, except for my like closest friends and my therapist. But I've only been openly talking about everything that I went through with my therapist for the last month or two.
Okay.
So we have therapy every week. It's a little intensive, because he makes me do this therapeutic thing where it makes you remember stuff. So I'm able to remember more things that happened. And it was really hard to like talk about it and to like remember stuff, but I feel like it's helped me a lot. One thing that's been a little calmer now, I have a lot of nightmares. I typically have nightmares where I'm getting attacked or someone's trying to hurt me because of everything that I went through. So they used to be very intense to the point where I would wake up screaming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and recently I still have them, but they're not as often. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, because a couple things I want to touch on is like the suppression of like when you experience trauma, sometimes you suppress it so that you don't really remember it because of the anxiety and suppression of it. And like bringing it back up kind of puts you in a state of kind of like reliving it. So a lot of people avoid it. And so when you finally do relive it and like say, hey, this happened and this is how it happens, it kind of like lifts a weight off of you because you don't realize you've been kind of carrying that. Because that's kind of what happened to me too. Like I was like carrying it from the age of 5 up until the time I told my friend at 13, and then she told me I was lying. So then at that point I was like, you know what, I'm not going to tell anyone else. So at 26, I told the internet, and that's how my family ended up finding out. And everyone was calling me like, oh, like what's going on? I didn't even know half of them were going to watch that video, and it was only up for less than 24 hours. And they didn't know this happened to me because I even suppressed it, and I started to feel like, oh, like did this happen? Like, I was very young. And so once I like openly said, hey, this has happened, this is how it happened, and like all that, I had to take the video down because I got way too explicit about who the person was, put his information in there, all that. And that person is in and out of jail, so he's very dangerous.
Yeah.
But when you kind of suppress it, it's still there, but it's just you haven't like really released it, like, and let it go. So when you are able to talk about it, it really helps at least kind of like lift it off a little bit, like you're not holding on to it or hiding it for so long. And then like with the nightmares, that's very like traumatic. So in my head, girl, I'm very woo woo. Like I'm not like I'm not a religious person. I'm very woo woo. So I'm like, maybe like trying to journal before bed. Like I'm really big into prayer, even though I'm not religious. I'm very just woo woo and like clearing your energy, because I think sometimes we have all those experiences, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like becomes like dark thoughts, and then that kind of gets in your sleep. Girl, we can talk about that later, but girl, I like, because that is like petrifying though when you have those type of, dreams. So how long had you been in therapy in general? Because you said you just started to open up about this a month to 2 months. So how long were you in therapy before?
In general, I guess since I've been in the States, 2 years of on and off therapy. Before that, I started therapy in like 2022 or 2023 in Japan. But that therapist, if you see this, bro, I wish you so much unwell in life.
I'm like, how is therapy in Japan? I didn't even know that was a thing.
So he was in the military, but I don't think he was an actual therapist. I think they just gave him that position and they're like, okay, here you go. But I remember my first session, I started crying about like all my issues, all the things that I didn't mention the assaults, but I mentioned like just like all the pressure I constantly felt like being in the military and all my stressors. And he's like, well, why are you upset about it? You can't do anything about it. And I was like, dude, I'm here crying to you. Like, what do you mean? And he was telling me, okay, well, don't kill yourself at the end of our session, which was like, why would you tell someone that? You know, like, suicide rates in the military are just like super high. Like, why would you say that to joke around? And I guess our session took a little longer than usual. And because he tries to get people out in like 30 minutes. And a session should be an hour. Like part of the counseling field, it's an hour, 45 to an hour. And he told the guy, sorry that we took so long. She just took forever. And like just like faulted me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like, all right,
that's
man.
crazy.
But there was only 2 therapists for that whole base. And I ended up with the shitty one and I couldn't get changed to the other one.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so.
And you like male therapists, huh? Or do you ever choose the
No,
like...
I let him give me whatever.
Okay.
My current therapist, he is male. He is amazing. I started having him as a therapist because of my job. They offered him for free. And at the time when I started with him, I was going because I was having like work issues. And then he moved and I recently found him with another company. And I started telling him about all the experiences that I had in the military.
Okay. And I'm so happy you were able to like open up to him, because it takes a long time. People don't understand like how long it can take, because I hear people like, oh, why didn't, like, you know, we think of like these big celebrities right now that are like facing jail time for sexual assault and things like that. And they're like, oh, why are these people just coming out? They don't understand like how hard it is to discuss these things, how much fear like people instill in you. Just like the first person, like he told you like, oh, I'm gonna make sure people don't believe you and don't tell. Like the things that they say to you makes you afraid to tell people. And so like people need to be aware that like victims, it takes time to be able to, you know, express things that have happened to them. And so even like going back to the military, so you said that you told them in 2020?
So about the assaults?
Yeah.
About 2022, I think I told them.
And when did it happen?
2018 or 19?
Okay.
Yeah, 2018, I think.
And what made you, okay, in 2022, what made you like really finally be like, okay, I want to talk about this?
Here's the kicker. Around that time, we were on deployment. It was about 5 a.m, and all the men were woken up, sent to this secret space where you can't take technology in there. It's like a meeting room, but you just can't take tech in there. And because some of the older chain of command, the ones that are in charge of us, I'm gonna call them managers, they sexually assaulted a male on our ship. And he went and told one of the people that are under the captain of our ship, and he doesn't play about that kind of stuff, you know? But when it comes to women, they don't give a fuck. So I don't know where that disconnect was. But he reported them. Those men had videos and pictures of them touching that man when he was passed out drunk. Yeah, and they had pictures of, the managers were taking pictures of the younger sailors in the shower, the male sailors. They would grab each other's, the manager would grab the other younger sailor's penis. Just a bunch of stuff like that. So that started like a whole ripple effect. A whole investigation started going on. Everyone had to say who was the one that touched them. The males had to say who touched them and who had pictures of who. We had an investigation launched. We all got questioned. And a lot of the females, I remember we all like a lot of us walked out of there crying because we told them about how a lot of them sexually assaulted the females. Yeah. You know, nothing happened to them for the females.
But only for the guys?
Only for the men.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is sick. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And it's probably based off of homophobic, mindset in a sense because of that masculine energy, in the military. And so that's probably a reason why they only took the men serious, because they don't even feel, most of those people probably don't even feel like women deserve the right,
Yeah.
which is sick. Like, and like these people are actually leading, you know, leading the military. And that's the scary part, because if they don't take it serious, then they think it's okay. And then that means on their part, what are they doing as well? It gets scary that,
Yeah.
that happens.
I became a very hateful person for years. I became so angry. I used to fight on my ship. I used to pull knives. I was like I turned into a really bad person, and I hated who I was. I became so bitter and angry. It was just the worst version of myself. And it took me almost losing my job as a civilian to like wake up and be like, yes, you experience all this stuff, but now you have to like learn how to heal yourself. Because all that, it's gonna affect you once you get out. Because civilians don't play like that. Like they'll send you to HR, the way you act, the way you speak. And I was very aggressive when I first got out, and I went to work in the civilian spectrum. Thankfully, they were aware I was a veteran, and I started going to therapy with the company. That kind of helped me. It took me so long to be at the state that I am right now. And mind you, I went through all that and just so much more after that. It took me going to therapy. Yoga has helped a lot. Yoga does amazing work for your body. Like it releases so much tension. I think it's like right here, like on your lower body, when you do certain poses that were.
And there's a lot of trauma that you carry. Yes, girl. I'm all into the sacral.
Yeah. So at the Pearl, they do free yoga on Thursdays around certain periods of time. And I remember I did a pose that released a bunch of tension in my hips, and I started crying. I was like, why the fuck am I crying? And I guess the lady saw what I was crying, and she's like, this is an area where you store a lot of trauma. And like I was like, dang, I'm like pretty messed up. So it's the little things that you gotta do. I think self-care is the most important part that you can do for yourself.
And connecting with yourself in general. Because a lot of times when you do shut down, and you start acting out of like bitterness and like becoming somebody that you are normally not, it's because you're also not connecting with, like, you letting yourself feel and be like, okay, this is how I feel, this is my experience, and like now it's time for me to work on it. And now you're in that place, right? But it takes time for people. But if you do connect with yourself, be like, okay, this is how I feel, and it's valid to feel this way. It's valid to feel angry. It's valid to feel mad that these things happen. It's good to release it, go into therapy, talk about it, journal about it, and then now how can I pour it to myself and forgive myself, and then also forgive the other people, even though I freaking hate them, what I'm saying? But like for myself, because that is like the hardest part of it. I remember like before I went to therapy, I had a person like, I was going to readers, but I had a reader tell me like, you have to grow up. Like you can't let your past trauma dictate your life or make excuses for yourself. Like you can feel it, but you need to address it. And I think that's where like it all starts to shift, because you are addressing it, and you are recognizing it, talking about it, and doing things, to also help you mentally and physically, which is nice. Because yoga, like when they talk about the trauma like in your hips, or also like in your lower chakra area, you can look it up, but that does usually play a part a lot in like sexual assault and stuff like that, and like releasing that trauma. And so I learned a lot about that. But like even with the yoga, meditating helps you kind of like spend time
with your body and loving yourself again. Because for the longest time, I hated my body. I hated who I was. I faulted myself for a lot of it. I think yoga really made me reconnect with myself. Also, our little friend group that we have,
Yes.
I think that was like a blessing from God. I'm gonna get emotional. Because I remember I think I had been here like maybe 6 months to a year. And one day on Facebook, it just pops up that I am in a chat. And I was like, what is this? I never joined this. And I guess somehow I was just in the chat on Facebook, and then they told me that they have the group on Instagram. I went on it, and I was like, "What? I don't know this happened." And then I met up with our two main friends that are on there, and they introduced me to the group, what they do, and I think the little group really, really helped me the most because I was extremely isolated. There'd be times I would come home after work and I would lay in my sofa till like 9, 10 p.m. and just like doom scrolling or just sad, like dozed off into space. Like it was just a lot. And that group helped me feel comfortable again, feel like a woman actually. Because for the longest time I felt so masculine. And I will say, like, everything that happened in the military made me feel extremely masculine. So we're only now, like, maybe in the last year or two, I've been feeling more feminine again. I want to wear a little more revealing clothing. Before I used to like cover up to an extreme, just to protect myself. But now I'm just more comfortable with who I am, with what I want to do and stuff like that.
And I love that because the group is like really amazing. Because I remember like when I first met V, like I didn't have any friends and I had just moved to San Antonio like months before. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how am I gonna make friends? I don't know anyone. I was very isolated and I didn't feel like bad, but I felt odd, because I've never been in a space like that. And I was in a transition where I had lost a lot of friends and I had lost a lot of weight. And I was just like trying to figure like myself out. And so when I met V and then like, but it's like literally only God, because like even for you to be able to be randomly placed in a chat, like me to randomly go to a run into V, and then she has all these girls that I like. Now I came from 0 friends to like a ton of friends, and so like that's really amazing. And like even so, when you were drinking, like how did you get past that? Like, because I know that's very hard, so how did you like work through that?
Well, let me start with how it started. I mean, with all the whole relationship stuff, with the whole assault stuff, I was then in a relationship which was very toxic. I got myself into a relationship because I knew if I was with someone, I was at least a little bit protected from someone else trying to hurt me again. Got with him. It was okay in the beginning. He unfortunately cheated a lot. And towards the end, our relationship became very toxic. There was a time where he pulled my hair. He would just yell at me. Just a lot of like anger. A lot of bad stuff that happened in that relationship. And he went on deployment because he was on a different ship.
Oh, he was in the military too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we met in Japan. He was actually from San Antonio too, unfortunately. So he went on deployment for like 6 months, and I was finally alone for those 6 months. He would isolate me from my friends, so I was very alone. I didn't know what was going on with my friends. Like, I was just so distant from them. And I started drinking a lot because I was just alone and sad, and I had nobody. I felt so guilty trying to go back to my friends because he was gone. I could finally go out with him again, but when I would go, I felt awkward. I didn't feel like I belonged. I felt guilty for ignoring them for so long, and I would drink maybe a bottle a day or every few days of alcohol. It was just an excessive amount. And I wouldn't eat. I'd stopped eating for the longest time. I would sometimes eat 1 meal a day. But yeah, I was drunk all the time, very sad. And I remember one night, I was on the floor crying and I was begging God to take the pain away because it hurt so much, like just everything that I endured. And I just wanted for all of it to get away. And after I was crying, something told me that I needed to leave him. But I felt the only way I could leave him was after I got out of the military. So I think I had a few more months left in Japan at that time. So as soon as I left Japan and I got home, I was okay, I'm free. I can leave him now. And a few months after I got back stateside, I ended everything with him. He was upset. He would call me at all times, trying to talk. And we ended up getting in the reserves for some time. And he would try to talk to me, try to find me. It just got so much. I remember crying the first day I saw him because, you know, it's just like it keeps coming back. The pain, like all the memories and stuff. And I think it wasn't until I came back stateside where I was able to stop drinking because my mom doesn't allow alcohol in her house.
Okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't have access to it.
So your mom doesn't drink?
No, no at all.
Were you ever raised around alcoholics? Or?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, but
Is that why she doesn't allow drinking?
I think so.
Okay.
And she's just like very against it. She doesn't drink herself.
My
but-
mom is like that too.
Yeah.
But my mom dated an alcoholic for a very long time.
Yeah. Well,
so-
my biological dad, he was an alcoholic.
Okay.
So yeah, she just doesn't allow it in the house. But it wasn't until then that I was finally able to stop drinking. To this day, I fear buying a bottle of alcohol, like a whole bottle. So if I do want to drink, I'll only drink when I'm out socially. Or I'll buy wine and I only drink it at home. Or I'll buy those little shooters.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like a whole bottle, I am so petrified to buy one because I don't want to go back to that state. Like earlier today, I was at World Market and I saw these martini glasses and they were so cute. I wanted to buy them, but then I thought like, no, because then if I buy it, I have to buy alcohol and I have to buy it in big portion. And I don't want to have that in my home. You know, I don't want to resort back to that.
But that is like, even though it's a hard thing, it's a great way to think. Because I even think like that. People think it's crazy, but like with me, when I used to be morbidly obese, I was addicted to food. And so I have to think every single day, like, okay, if I buy like this big old bag of chips, I'm going to keep eating this every day, all day. If I get the big tub of ice cream, I'm going to overindulge in this. So I'd rather just go to the ice cream shop and get a couple scoops. Like that's how you keep you on the right track, you know what I'm saying? And keep you focused on like what you want for your life. Because you know, like if you've struggled with it before, it's hard when it's like in your space and you have freedom, right? With, you know, how much you can have of it and that type of stuff. So that's a really good way to think, even though I know sometimes it feels like, oh my gosh, like, you know, why can't I just, you know, but having those boundaries like are really huge. Like that's actually really good. So you should be proud of yourself because it's very hard. Because like I always say like alcohol is like the hardest one because it's obviously readily available everywhere. It's like the easiest thing to get.
Yeah. I also there was a point like maybe in the last year I was more heavier. Within like maybe 6 months I've lost 30 pounds. Before I started medication, I was over 200 pounds. And then I've lost over 30 pounds right now. Thank you. But I would eat a lot. I would just try to numb the pain. But it wasn't until I started my medication where like, I still have my waves of depression, but they're not as intense, you know? Because before I would just kind of like fill the gaps of pain with food. But now, like, I do the same thing where, like, I won't buy the big thing. I'll buy little mini versions of everything. Even soda, like, I'll buy tiny sodas. I don't buy big sodas. Like, it's just a great way to, like, still have the things that you like, but without, like, fully restricting yourself.
Yes. And I think that's what people, like, I always tell people and even, like, clients that I work with, like, if you go into anything with a very restrictive mindset, it's very hard for you to keep up with that from going from one extreme to the next. So like understanding like I can still have things in moderation. And honestly, controlling how much of something you have is way harder, to be honest, than restricting everything. And so I think that's why a lot of people go to straight restricting everything, because they're like, oh, I just can't control how much I eat, so let me just take it all away. And then they do that for a short period of time, and then they go straight the opposite way. So like finding small like ways you can like adjust, like, oh, let me get a smaller one, or let me try to find an alternative for this, or let me get the mini bags. Like that is the best way to go. And I always tell people, like, what you have in your house is the most important. So if you don't bring too much crap in your house, like, you're going to be at a better, because you're going to be there like, oh, okay, this is what I have in here. I have to, unless you're going to go and get it. That's between you and yourself that you got to do with it. But like what you bring in your house is like very important, just in all elements. But yeah, I'm like super proud of you. How does dynamics of relationships look for you now? Like, kind of like, not to get in details of your dating, but like going through sexual assault, going through domestic violence, because that's technically domestic violence, the hair pulling and stuff like that, and then isolation is a part of domestic violence. So like going through those things, like how has that shaped, like how do you handle relationships now?
It's been really hard even to this day. One big trigger for me is when a man makes sexual comments right away. You know, because I'm thinking you're gonna hurt me, you just want sex. Like immediately when a man makes a sexual comment, like within like the first few days of us meeting or first week, I'll end it right away. And I feel like that's okay to end it. But some people look at me weird, like you're stop talking to him just because he made a sexual comment about you.
That's interesting, because that happened to me recently. Go ahead, girl. I'm like, and I reacted the same way of like, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to talk to this person anymore.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, you should give it time. You should get to know who I am instead of sexualizing me right away. But it's made it really hard. There's times I even catch myself sabotaging the relationship before it really starts. There was a point where I was seeing this man and I thought he was amazing. He was the sweetest man I've met. I felt very comfortable with him. Let's call him K. Things were great, but I found myself kind of pushing him away and over analyzing him to the point where it made him uncomfortable and it made him feel down about himself. And I felt so bad, and then like it ended things, and I still think about him a lot. I really wish things would have worked out, but things happen for a reason.
And have you ever, with that situation, have you ever talked to your therapist about that relationship?
No.
Okay, that's something you can talk to your therapist about. Because I do feel like, you know, it's a good conversation to have, because I do feel like sexual assault, that's domestic violence, all those type of things really affect your relationships. It has affected my relationships, how I interact, you know, even with my mom. Being with the alcoholic for a very long time, it made me really just want to like end relationships very quick too. Like when a problem comes up, I just don't want to be with them. And I'm like abrupt with that. And even with the sexual comment, it's like now when you say it, it made me reflect in my head like, maybe I'm also reacting that way because I was sexually assaulted. Because my cousin was like, I don't think anything's bad about like what he said. Like, you know, like it's never that serious to not talk to him about that. Talk to him because of that. I'm like, I feel like I don't want you to even think about that at all, you know.
But is it not serious because we want to normalize sexuality, like being sexualized, or is it?
Well, I think if we are honest, I think a lot of men are visual people, you know, negative and positive. But if we're looking at relationship with someone that wants to be with you in a positive, and you have a positive experience with them, they're obviously looking at you out of attraction. And so even if they don't say it, that's what they want, which is sad. But also that's what women want too, if they like the person. And so I do feel that the reason why, for example, my cousin said that is because like I know that this person's attracted to me. I'm attracted to this person. And he's complimenting me, and I'm personally feeling like, is that like, I'll say this for example, without saying too much about this person, but I had sold my lingerie business. So like I had a lingerie business, and I felt like it was attached to my old self, and I realized I became hypersexual at that time in my life because of what I've been through with sexual assault. So anyways, I felt like that business aligned with my old self, and now I'm really just not, I don't care for like the sexual aspect of things a lot now. I really care more. I'm working on myself and things like that. And so I stopped with that business, and I told this person like, oh yeah, I sold everything. Like, this company bought it from me, and I was super excited to just move forward in my life. And then he practically was like, oh, like, I hope you saved some or whatever. Blah, blah, blah. And in my head, I'm like, I'm not talking to him ever again.
Yeah.
Like, girl, I literally was about to be like, I don't want to talk to him ever again. And then my cousin was like, I don't really see anything bad with that comment. Like, girl, like, you're really going to stop talking to him because of that? And in my head, I did find it valid, based off of what I want and intention. But like when you said it, I'm like, maybe it's something I didn't see within myself that maybe it's triggering me because of my sexual experience, being sexual assaulted. So not saying it's right or wrong, but it made me realize like, oh, maybe this is why I felt so strongly about it. And she didn't feel as strongly about it because she's never experienced that. So maybe if you're able with the relationship in the past, that has nothing to do with that, but with the relationship in the past that you kind of regret how it went, maybe you're able to talk to your therapist about that, because maybe there's some hope for some type of communication, because if you're able to unpack it with your therapist, maybe you can have communication with that person. Not saying it's guaranteed, but I think it's something to talk about, because I think a lot of times in life we live with like regret or like, like wishing that we showed up better in a situation. But like all you can do now is move in the way that in the positive way, right? So like, okay, yeah, this experience happened, but if you're able to talk to your therapist about it, maybe you can communicate with that person and be honest with them and help them understand why you interacted with them in that way. But now you're growing, you're healing, you're going to therapy. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that. So now though, do you feel like afraid to date, or do you feel like...
Yeah, I feel really afraid to date, honestly. It's just being vulnerable with someone is really scary. And then I worry that someone is going to take everything that I've worked so hard for. So I'm a homeowner, and I have a good job, good education and everything. And I remember when I was seeing this man, he told me that he couldn't compete with me with my success, so he ended things. And he love bombed me to the point where like I cried for days after that. But having that with him triggered a lot of stuff, because then I think to myself now, like, I'm still pretty traumatized, but I also have good things for my life. But like, what if that makes a man not attracted to me? So I constantly have that in my mind, especially with the traumas. So I worry that I'm not good enough for a relationship.
Yeah, and that's something like where it's like redirect thinking though, because that means you are way too good for him. Instead of you're not good enough, you're way too good for him. And he's telling you that. You're not hearing that. You're hearing, you're rejecting me. But what I'm hearing is he's telling you, you're too good for me. I don't deserve you, which he doesn't. I mean, if he can't bring what you're bringing to the table, I don't care what people say on the internet, but like as a man, they're going to get to a point where they're going to feel insecure, because a man is very prideful. So if he can't have his own home and he can't have the career that he wants and stuff, he will envy you, which he already does, because he wants to end it because you're doing better than him. That means he's insecure. So like, being with an insecure person, you're always going to be fighting for them because they're very avoidant. So at the end of the day, it's restructuring how you think. You were too good for him. So now when you go out in this world, you want to find a man that you're not too good for. Like, and they're out here, especially San Antonio. I'm not saying the men are here great, but what I noticed is a lot of men here, a lot of them do have like the homes and the stuff like that. Like a lot of the men here that I've met are like career focused, but I guess also depends on, where you meet them. But I've had experience like that too, of like, oh, I dated somebody that I was like in a situationship for a very long time. It was very toxic, on and off. And he told me like he stopped talking to me because he felt like I was doing way better than him in life. And that showed me like everything that I needed to know, because as somebody, a man that's insecure, he will always be avoidant, and then I'm anxious attached. So those don't go together. Somebody that wants to leave when there's problems, and they don't want to communicate. All these type of things don't work well with people that are very anxious or have been abandoned. So I had to learn all that stuff with relationship, but it's really good now that you're in therapy. So if you were to ever enter that, when you're ready, then you have your therapist to be like, talk you through the relationship stuff too.
I will say one thing I've currently struggled with is I'm constantly on guard, but I haven't addressed my anxiety yet. I'm gonna be having eventually an appointment to get on medication for the anxiety, but even when we all go out, like I can tell them that I'm on guard. If a man smiles at me, I won't smile back, because in my head I'm thinking you're trying to hurt me, like you have bad intention, you're a bad person. So even I've noticed that our friend Sarah, she always notices when I'm like anxious and like looking around the room, and I'm like analyzing everything. So I love her. She's a blessing, because she always makes sure that she's aware of it, and she'll make me comfortable to the point where like, it's okay, I'm gonna help you look around. Yeah, I love her, man. Like, because she's military too.
Yes.
So I was so shocked when she started telling me that. And I was like, I really appreciate that, because some people think I'm just like being weird or bored, and it's like, no, like my brain is on 10 thinking like something's gonna happen right now.
Yeah. And that is a big thing in the military, because I did see you like look out here, look up there, and I understand it, because I dated somebody in the military, and they kind of explained that like they always prepared for something to happen. Like I know even in church, he was like, I'll sit on the outside just in case we gotta get out of here, and like we need to say. I'm like, I hope we won't be having to do that at this church, but like I guess, but like. It makes sense though, because you always have to like be on guard, especially in that type of environment. Like you're trained that way too. So in having those experiences, it makes a lot of sense. For me, when I was not even younger, I feel like in the last 4 years, I finally stopped being like paranoid. I used to be very like paranoid, because my mom is schizophrenic. So she's on medication now. She's been great for years now, like over 10 plus years now. But like I grew up with that, always thinking, oh, someone's gonna hurt you, something can happen, all these type of things. And so I always like, even if I walk down the street, like I would have to like look if somebody walks too close to me. Still, I don't like when people stand too close from behind me and stuff like that. And then I had to release it finally and be like, you know what? Like, first of all, God got me. I'm protected. And if something happens, fuck it. Something happens. I had to start being like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, bro, like, I can't be in constant, like, fear. I just have to, like, be like, okay, I have to live. And if something happens, it just happens. I'm not God. I can't prevent it. So it took me a long time to get there, but I remember like I used to always just watch my back, always be prepared for the worst. So now like, you have your home, you have a good job. Like how are you feeling more now, more about life just in general?
I feel very happy. I feel very like proudful that I have all this stuff at a young age. But sometimes I guess it's like the military of me, where things like it can get taken away from you, So for the longest time, I didn't put up like picture frames. I never put them up, because I was like, no, because what if like it gets taken and I gotta leave? Like little stuff like that. I've been more calm lately. And I love it. I'm happy for myself, though. I mean, I'm grateful for everything that I do have. I feel like I worked really hard for everything, and I love it. But then I think there's part of me that feels like I don't deserve it, you know? And I don't know why. I think that's like something I still need to tap in with my therapist.
I be looking all over, girl, because I'm like a little, like, I'm very intuitive. And so what I feel is that the reason why is you're in a season right now that you have to work on self-love. Because it's a lot of like feeling like you don't deserve it, or feeling like you're not enough and things like that. And there might be something like stemming from childhood with that. So maybe you might have to get like deeper with your therapist too about like going back to like childhood of any like neglect or not. It could be your dad. So that's something that you do have to actually tap into before you even start getting back to dating, because I had learned that a lot, like until I started, because I loved the outside of me. Even like when I was plus size, I was very confident, but I realized I lacked the internal love because I grew up with a dad too that was, you know, he was in and out of the picture. So it kind of will teach you like sometimes your value. And when you get into these spaces, you sometimes your parents can almost validate who you are, and if you never felt good enough for them or something, any of those type of things, it teaches you your self-worth. So then it's about relearning like your self-worth, that you know you are enough, you deserve better, you know you are good enough. So these are things that once you talk to your therapist more about this, they'll be able to give you like activities.
Yeah. So definitely another thing I gotta tap in with my therapist. I will say, I guess when you were saying that, I thought about like some of the side effects that I've been having since everything that I endured, PTSD, the nightmares. I developed some OCD, just like constantly on guard. That affect me now with PTSD. Basically, when you have PTSD, it's been recent studies have showed that having PTSD has effects on the brain that it makes you lose your memory. So it causes brain damage. PTSD causes brain damage. So I've noticed with myself that I've been losing a lot of my memory. There's times where I can't remember what I'm doing, where I'm at. Little stuff here and there, not too major, but even the military right now, they're doing a study with veterans and studying memory loss. So I'm 100% PNT, so permanently disabled with the military. So I have all my benefits for life and everything. Yeah.
Well,
but,
good for the benefit, but not good for the disability, of course.
Yeah. But like even right now, I just forgot like what we were gonna talk about. But
Girl,
yeah.
me too. And I don't even, well, I got PTSD. This is not diagnosed.
But yeah, it's women that are 100% PNT. There's a statistic from the military that we're going to die in our early 60s.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, those that are rated 100%. A lot of the times it's
dementia?
It's from not seeking medical attention, because a lot of the times either there is not enough medical assistance, and a lot of the times women just don't seek help. We get ignored. Other women like will ignore your feelings. Like when I first started getting medical out here, I had a white doctor, and she didn't even test me for like certain like vitamin D, iron, like a lot of deficiencies. She did not test me, and I was very sick when I got to the doctor. And then I had this Indian lady, and she's like, why didn't she like send a report for this? And I was like, I don't know. And I was telling her how sick I am, how I need medication, and how like I need help. And she's like, I don't know why she did that to you, but she ordered me all my labs that I needed. And then I was finally able to get on medication. I finally got moved with therapy. So it took me 2 years to get therapy. Oh my God. Yeah, so I waited 2 years for therapy, or more for medication. But yeah, that lady moved it for me.
Yeah, and that happens a lot. in the medical field, especially like for people of color, because
We get ignored.
and
Especially
they don't want
women.
to listen. Yeah, even like just normal women. I was thinking about that on TikTok. Like I was watching some TikToks of like, oh, I kept going to the emergency room. I kept telling them something was wrong with me, and they just kept ignoring it. And they just tend to like do that a lot. Like, so now it's really hard because a lot of times now you got to get second opinions and all that type of stuff. So like having somebody that can advocate for you is like huge. Because and you have to like it's so bad, but you have to really advocate for yourself.
You gotta get a little aggressive, unfortunately.
So it's like crazy, but I'm gonna close this off and thank you, Wendy, for coming. Like this was a great conversation, and like I hope like people can take something away from this conversation. And we'll see you in the next podcast episode.
Bye. Thank you.